So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max after 1 month. So I've used this phone for well over a month now. Well, a little bit, not well over. I'm exaggerating, but this phone right here is actually selling quite well. I mean, if you go to a carrier right now, depending on which one you go to, which store you go to, you might not be able to find it. You can buy it on apple.com. Some stores have it. Sometimes it's going to be a week or two for shipping. So it's doing okay in the sales. It's not the most sold iPhone. That would be the regular iPhone 12, just the standard iPhone 12 of the lineup so far, but it's doing all right. So the one I went with is the silver 256 gig version. This one was around like $12.99, something like that, $11.99. The regular one's at $10.99. So this is definitely way more, like $400 more than an iPhone 12. So you do have to keep in mind you're going to pay substantially more. The one thing I really liked about this over the month is the new stainless steel sides. I just like how shiny they are. They're definitely something that you notice more than the rounded stainless steel edges of the past iPhone 12 or 11 Pro Max. That one a little bit more subtle. Still, I just like how these glimmer and shine. However, they do attract a lot of fingerprints. I still just like the way it looks. It's very pretty looking phone. Now, I will state, you're not going to see it here on camera, I doubt it, but I did get a couple scuffs on my stainless steel already, but I think this is because I got the silver one. It's from putting cases in and on or off this phone. I was being a little bit reckless. I'm not even going to mess with you. You can kind of see one right there, a little bit of a scuff right there. But the phone definitely on this regular silver will scuff up a little bit on the stainless steel. Some people won't care about that because, you know, maybe they like that worn look. But for me, it bothered me at first, but I'm kind of over it. Get into focus. I'm over it right now. So definitely like these stainless steel edges. It's held up very well in terms of feeling very solid. You know, Apple makes industrial grade material on their phone. So a month later with that, really do enjoy it. And I want to talk about the weight. The iPhone 12 Pro Max feels substantial in the hand. It's like over 228 grams, somewhere around there. I think that's the exact weight, but it feels like a big phone. If you're used to Galaxy Note phones, you're used to previous Max phones, Plus phones, you'll love this thing. It's going to be nothing to handle. But if you're coming from a smaller phone, you will be like, this is a massive phone. So do keep in mind that the big phone lovers will love the 12 Pro Max. And if you're looking at it, you probably already had big phones. It's not going to be a problem. But I will state that over my month using it, compared to something like the 12, even the regular 12, this phone just felt much bigger, much less comfortable to use day to day in terms of just a lightweight thing in your pocket. Like the iPhone 12, while it does have a decent size 6.1 inch screen, not even close to 6.7, this phone, even with a case, is far lighter feeling than the 12 Pro Max. So 12 Pro Max brings that substantial feel. So if you like that, you'll love that. 1 month later, I like the weight of it though, because it does feel like you paid more for it. It just feels a little bit more premium. But definitely you have to keep in mind that this phone is not for people who like, you know, something lightweight and small. Okay, guys, so when it comes to the display on the 12 Pro Max, a month later, the more you use the phone, you don't really think about that stuff much because this phone has great usable brightness, far more than the iPhone 12, 800 nits usable. I mean, what that means is that when you raise this up in dark lit environment, it's gonna blast your eyes. You're gonna be like, oh, that's way too bright. You actually might even bring it back down to iPhone 12 levels. People outdoors a lot will really like the 12 Pro series more because in sunlight, you always want the most brightness you can get. So this is the phone to get if you want to be able to see it in pretty much any lighting condition the best. In addition, this notch right here, even though I've complained in the past about not really enjoying having notches, I still don't want to see it on future iPhones. I wish Apple could find a way to get that Face ID sensor inside of a bezel, kind of like this thin at the bottom. That would be pretty amazing feat of technology. But I will state that on this 12 Pro Max, it doesn't really bother you much because the screen is so big. You don't really look at it that often. And display, man, really good. Of course, you get your True Tone night shift dark mode stuff that's been here. Just a really awesome display. No 3D touch, so you'd have the haptic press. I think you're going to be totally happy with this display. It's probably one of the best in the industry for sure. Okay, so when it comes to the software, we are running iOS 14.2.1, 14.3, the RC versions are already out, should be available soon. Again, I've mentioned in my prior reviews about this not really taking advantage of the display. I noticed that still, even after a month, that's not going to change. Still, I do like how smooth this phone is. with the software. I mean, it's extremely smooth. However, I will state that, this phone actually kind of got a little bit buggy a couple times on me. I actually had this phone, actually the display froze up a couple times. And that's not something I seen on Note 20 Ultra, for example. So I will say that the iPhone 12 Pro Max definitely came out the gate a little bit buggy, in my opinion. So I'm going to be happy with some more updates for this phone. But the thing that's great about Apple is that, if you buy this 12 Pro Max, you're going to have software updates for years. And with the camera software, it's gotten much better than it used to be. And we're going to get that Pro RAW feature here shortly on the official 14.3. I think if you're buying this phone for software, it's the same pretty much as the other iPhones. You really want to buy it for those extra camera bits. That's what I really think the iPhone 12 Pro Max does shine. And talking about performance with the 12 Pro Max, this thing is insane in performance. It's actually so good of performance that you'll never even think about the fact that you have a 5nm, except for when you're first looking at the specs and kind of researching if you want to buy this phone, because it just gets out of the way. It just works. And other iPhones have done the same thing in the past, but this one has this tendency to not really reload any applications. It has this tendency to not do that fake pause thing where it pauses the app, but it still hasn't fully loaded. So you can fly in between applications very quickly here on the 12 Pro Max, and nothing will basically reload. And that's a different feeling with that 6 gigs of RAM that came with this phone versus even the 11 Pro Max last year, which sometimes would reload. So I think if you're the type of person who's doing a ton of things at once on your phone, a lot of business or a lot of school stuff or whatever you're doing, a lot of work things, hopping in between applications, doing this little swipe gesture and going between things, this phone is the best of the 12 lineup. It definitely doesn't reload basically anything. And that's the most I could say of what I noticed. It's so fast that you really don't even think about the performance anymore with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Okay, so talking about the cameras, the thing you're going to notice immediately if you go in the store or whatever is that the lenses just look bigger on the 12 Pro Max. And I think that's definitely going to sell this phone a little bit more because people are going to say bigger camera, bigger sensors is better overall. And definitely I think more people are going to buy this one if they care a lot about the camera. So we got the wide angle, the 2.5x. I've enjoyed the extra zoom on this phone, but I'm just going to overlay some photos while we're talking about it here. The video quality is outstanding, especially the fact that, you really don't have to think about, will things come in and out of focus? Will they fail or will they work properly? I never really thought about this because how good the focus is on this phone, and I really appreciate it. It reminds me of using a camcorder, them old school camcorders where you just flip open the screen and it just works every time. You don't have to focus nothing. That's kind of how the iPhone works, and that's really a good thing for simplicity's sake. Now, when it comes to the photo quality, at nighttime, you have better photos at night, and this front-facing camera, unlike older iPhones, you don't really sacrifice much here either. 12 megapixels on the front. This thing is super consistent with the rear cameras. So overall, I mean, just incredible. After a month, I don't feel like I even need to think about my DSLR, my mirrorless, or even my point and shoot Sony RX100. I don't even have to think about those cameras with this phone. This thing is like having a pro camera in your pocket for the most part. So the audio performance that comes out of the 12 Pro Max has been stellar. I played it in the full review. You could check that out if you want to see more on that. But, coming out these speakers, very full, very loud overall performance with the audio. Really enjoy it. I think you will too, especially if you care about stereo speakers. You don't really care about using headphones with headphone jacks. You'll really enjoy this one. It's got a very nice loud sound and it stays full at its loudest. And then I want to talk about my battery life experience with this phone. The only time this phone felt any different from the 11 Pro Max was basically when doing gaming. It drained a little bit more in gaming, but in terms of day-to-day usage, it's pretty similar to the 11 Pro Max, meaning basically easily a full day of battery life. If you're a light user, which you're probably not if you're buying this Max phone, but if you are a light user, 1.5 to 2 days. I will say, if you're looking for the best battery life of the 12 series, a month later, I've tested all of them. This is the one to pick, the 12 Pro Max. Okay, so I want to talk about phone quality, reception, the 5G, stuff like that. Let me turn off the Wi-Fi. Yeah, so you'll see the 5G come in. Now, I've had the 5G come in and out of LTE a little bit more than I would like, a little bit more than my Samsung. So I wouldn't say perfection on the 5G, but definitely a lot faster than using LTE. And the phone call quality, no drop calls. People heard me fine. Didn't even ask me what phone I was on because there was basically no problem. So I find this to be an improved phone call quality. Speaker is very loud when in those calls. So 1 month later with the 12 Pro Max, this is the top of the line. This is top tier iPhone. This is the best iPhone you can get in terms of the most Apple can throw at a phone, the biggest sheer size of a phone. And if you want most of this and you want it smaller, just get the 12 Pro. But 1 month later, extremely happy with this one. And that's it for me on a month later with the 12 Pro Max. If you have one, leave your experiences, your thoughts, your comments down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.